What if the Library of Alexandria survived? What if history's greatest library never burned? What if the knowledge of the ancient world is never lost? The real library. What was it? In Alexandria, Egypt, founded in the 3rd century BC by Ptolemy I, it was the center of learning in the ancient world, containing thousands of scrolls on every subject imaginable. Great minds from all over the world came to study there, like Euclid, Archimedes, and Hypatia. The library even had its own museum with every invention from around the known world. It was destroyed by a series of unfortunate events, including a fire, war, and an earthquake. But that wasn't the end of the story, because the last librarian, Julius Caesar, sent surviving scrolls to Rome, where some scholars believe they formed the basis of the Roman Empire's cultural achievements. Lost texts on math, astronomy, medicine, and philosophy, lost inventions, potential breakthroughs erased from history. Imagine the scientific and technological advancement we may have missed out on. If it survived, the ripple effect. Continuous scientific exchange across the Mediterranean and beyond. Knowledge spreads earlier to Europe, Africa, and Asia. A different Dark Ages. Could the Dark Ages have been avoided? Would the Renaissance start centuries earlier? Maybe so. The Library of Alexandria was more than just a building full of books. It was a community of scholars from all over the ancient world who shared their knowledge and ideas about everything from mathematics to medicine to philosophy. And these ideas didn't stay in Alexandria. They spread throughout the Mediterranean and beyond. Knowledge is power. Those who controlled it could influence entire civilizations. That's why the rulers of Alexandria, Egypt, built one of the largest libraries in the ancient world. Over 500 years, it grew to include works from all over the known world. Works of art and literature, scientific treatises and philosophical musings, all written down on papyrus and stored in neat rows on shelves. Scholars came from all over to study in its hallowed halls, including the greatest mathematician of the ancient world, Euclid, the man considered to be the father of geometry. He spent his later years in Alexandria, writing many of his most famous works, including his 13-volume Elements. But Euclid wasn't alone. Other famous scholars lived and worked in Alexandria, including the astronomer Ptolemy, who developed a model of the universe that was used for centuries, and the mathematician Archimedes, inventor of the spiral and the lever, as well as the engineer Hero of Alexandria, who invented the first coin-operated machine. But the library wasn't just a place for scholars to work. It was also a place for them to meet and exchange ideas. This created an atmosphere of intense intellectual curiosity and debate that led to groundbreaking discoveries and innovations. For example, the famous Greek philosopher Hypatia taught at the library. She was a leading expert on mathematics and astronomy, but she was also a strong advocate for women's rights and education. Sadly, she was brutally murdered by a Christian mob in 415 AD, but her legacy lived on in the scholarship of Alexandria long after she was gone. Then, in 391 AD, the library was sacked by a mob, possibly at the instigation of the Christian bishop. Thousands of books were burned and the library suffered irreparable damage. However, this wasn't the end of the library's story. A few decades later, Julius Caesar came to power in Rome, and he was a patron of learning. He ordered that all of the surviving books from Alexandria be brought to Rome, where they became the foundation of the great library of the Roman Empire. In addition to being a center of intellectual activity, the Library of Alexandria was also an important center for trade. Merchants from all over the known world came to Alexandria to buy and sell goods, and many of them brought books with them to trade. This meant that the library had a constant influx of new material from all over the world. It is no wonder then that the library eventually became the largest and most comprehensive collection of knowledge in the ancient world. So let us take a moment to appreciate the incredible achievement that was the Library of Alexandria and all of the knowledge that it contained, from the works of Euclid and Archimedes to the teachings of Hypatia and countless others. The library was a treasure trove of human knowledge that shaped the course of history. And now back to our story. Advanced mathematics, astronomy, and engineering. Imagine if Euclid and Archimedes had finished their most famous works in Alexandria. Their theories would have spread faster, influencing engineers and architects across the Mediterranean. More efficient buildings, roads, and aqueducts. Maybe even earlier examples of Gothic architecture or Roman concrete. Dozens of practical applications in daily life would have advanced. The pace of technological change would have quickened in many fields. Inventions like the steam engine or advanced medicine. Picture if Archimedes' detailed anatomical diagrams survived. Or imagine if Heron of Alexandria's medical instruments hadn't been lost. Anatomical studies could have progressed faster, leading to earlier discoveries about the heart, circulatory system, or nervous system. Medical treatments might have improved sooner. Surgical techniques become safer. Life-saving vaccines and antidotes developed earlier. Diseases conquered centuries ahead of our timeline. Entire branches of medicine could have flourished, improving quality and length of life for people across the ancient world. The ripple effect of such advancements would have been huge. What would be different today? With continuous scientific exchange, the Renaissance starts centuries earlier. By the Middle Ages, Alexandria's influence could have spread scientific knowledge across Europe, Africa, and Asia. Imagine if Greek and Roman scholars debated with Persian, Indian, and Chinese thinkers. The fusion of ideas could have accelerated progress in mathematics, astronomy, and engineering. Key inventions like paper, gunpowder, and the compass could have spread much earlier. Scientific revolutions like the heliocentric theory might have come sooner. Imagine if Copernicus studied under astronomers in Alexandria before formulating his revolutionary theory. With the rapid exchange of knowledge, the scientific method might have developed earlier. A different Dark Ages. Without the destruction of the library, the Middle Ages could have looked vastly different. Imagine if scientific and philosophical texts from Greece and Rome were readily available. During the medieval period, scholasticism, which dominated medieval European thought, could have incorporated classical learning more fully. This might have led to a less rigid adherence to dogma and a greater emphasis on reason and empirical observation. Religious thinkers like Thomas Aquinas could have synthesized classical and biblical ideas more easily, potentially leading to a more nuanced and sophisticated theology. The development of universities could have come much earlier, fostering centers of learning across Europe and the Middle East. Imagine if medieval scholars in Baghdad or Paris engaged in lively debates about Euclidean geometry or Ptolemaic astronomy. This intellectual ferment could have laid the groundwork for the scientific revolution of the 16th and 17th centuries, potentially transforming our modern world. How religion and politics might have evolved differently. As we know, religion often intersects with politics, and the Library of Alexandria, with its vast collection of texts, would have provided fertile ground for theological and philosophical debate. Imagine if key religious figures had access to a wider range of ancient texts, how it might have influenced their teachings and, in turn, the development of various faiths. Moreover, the library's influence could have extended to political theory, shaping the way states were governed and societies were organized. Its laws have profound implications for the trajectory of human history. Faster tech progress. Without the interruption caused by the library's destruction, scientific and technological progress might have accelerated significantly. Many inventions and discoveries could have emerged centuries earlier, transforming the course of history. For example, imagine if Archimedes' detailed mechanical designs had circulated widely. His inventions like the screw pump, compound pulley, and various war machines could have found a broader application, improving efficiency in agriculture, construction, and warfare. Similarly, Euclid's precise mathematical formulations might have inspired earlier innovations in engineering and architecture. His work on parallel lines and geometric proofs could have laid the groundwork for advances in fields like optics and mechanics. More tolerance for knowledge. If the library's influence had continued, it's possible that there would have been a greater tolerance for diverse ideas and beliefs. The exposure to a wide range of texts from different cultures could have fostered a more open-minded and inclusive society, reducing the likelihood of persecution and conflict based on differences in opinion or faith. This environment of intellectual freedom could have encouraged people to explore new concepts and challenge existing norms, potentially leading to earlier advancements in fields like science, philosophy, and art. Early universities. The Library of Alexandria could have served as the seed from which the first university sprouted. Imagine a center of higher learning where scholars from across the Mediterranean gathered to study and debate. Such an institution might have offered courses in subjects like mathematics, astronomy, and medicine, allowing for the systematic transmission of knowledge and the training of future scholars. This early academic institution could have helped preserve and disseminate classical learning during a time when literacy and education were becoming more widespread, a world where science never went dark. The destruction of the Library of Alexandria marked a significant turning point in history, interrupting the flow of knowledge and innovation. But if the library had survived, it's possible that science might not have experienced such a prolonged period of stagnation. The continuous exchange of ideas could have prevented the scientific knowledge from being lost or forgotten. Instead, there would have been a gradual evolution and refinement of scientific principles and theories. Imagine if scholars had access to the works of Greek and Roman scientists and mathematicians. This exposure could have provided inspiration and a foundation for further discoveries. It's possible that key inventions and innovations might have emerged centuries earlier, shaping the course of technological advancement. To sum up, the loss of the Library of Alexandria robbed humanity of countless works of art and literature, scientific treatises, and philosophical musings. It disrupted the continuity of knowledge and hindered the progress of science and technology. It denied future generations the opportunity to learn from the wisdom of the ancients and explore the full potential of human ingenuity. One library could have changed everything. It is hard to overstate the importance of the Library of Alexandria and the impact it could have had on the course of human history. Its destruction was a tragic loss for the ancient world and for us today. The library serves as a powerful reminder of the fragility of knowledge and the importance of preserving and protecting it. And now I want to hear from you. How do you think the world would be different if the Library of Alexandria had survived? Share your thoughts in the comments below. Thanks for watching.